Ancient Greece set the foundation for democracy, philosophy, and the beginnings of modern science. This great civilization left an indelible mark on future civilizations, shaping how we think, govern, and create. Nestled among the deep blue waters of the Aegean and the towering peaks of Mount Olympus, Greece was home to some of the greatest minds and most influential ideas in history. From the bustling city-state of Athens to the military powerhouse of Sparta, Greek achievements continue to influence our world profoundly. In this video, we'll look at the contributions of Greece, spanning democracy, philosophy, mathematics, science, art, and architecture, and uncover how they stood the test of time. Keep watching to discover Greece's enduring impact and achievements that have shaped the world. Democracy. Greece's most famous political achievement is democracy. In the 5th century BCE, Athens pioneered the concept of direct democracy, where citizens actively participated in decision-making. It is one of the ancient world's first forms of self-rule. Unlike the monarchies or oligarchies that dominated the ancient world, Athenian democracy placed power into the hands of its free male citizens. Leaders like Cleisthenes and Hercules helped shape a system emphasizing civic duty, debate, and public participation. The word democracy comes from two Greek words that mean people, demos, and rule, kratos, and can be roughly translated to rule by the people. Democracy empowered the citizens of Greece to influence their government, supporting peaceful transitions of power rather than violent uprisings. Of course, this did not mean there was complete stability. Instead of violent revolutions to overthrow government officials, Greek citizens could now vote to ostracize their leaders, exiling them for 5 to 10 years. The democracy in Athens was a rudimentary form of the democracies we know today. Only free men were allowed to vote, as they were the only Greek people counted as citizens. Women, slaves, and other non-citizens were excluded from voting. Each year, 500 names were chosen from all the citizens of ancient Athens. Those 500 citizens had to actively serve in the government for 1 year, during which they created new laws and controlled the political process. When a new law was proposed, all the citizens of Athens had the opportunity to vote on it. To vote, citizens had to attend the assembly on the day it took place. Although Greek democracy was imperfect and looked very different from today's democracies, it laid the groundwork for our representative systems. Its ideas of civic duty, debate, choice, and public discussion inspired modern democratic governments worldwide, including the United States and much of Europe. Philosophy. Few civilizations have contributed as much to philosophy as the Greeks. Socrates, often called the father of Western philosophy, encouraged critical thinking through his famous Socratic method, a form of questioning still used in modern education and legal practices. His student, Plato, built on his teachings, founding the Academy in Athens, the first institution of higher learning in the Western world. Aristotle significantly contributed to logic, ethics, politics, and even biology. His works shaped medieval thought, influencing contemporary fields like political science and metaphysics. The Greek philosophers pushed humanity toward rational thinking and inquiry, questioning everything from morality to the nature of existence. However, the story of ancient Greek philosophy goes far beyond Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. It began with Thales of Miletus, who proposed the first cause of observable phenomena. Before Thales, the ancient Greeks believed that the gods and titans created the world. Thales suggested that the first cause of existence was water, and he faced no backlash because water was life-giving, encircled the land, and was already associated with the gods. Anaximander and Anaximenes, followers of Thales, continued their studies and examinations of the nature of reality, but suggested elements other than water as the first cause. Together, these three men initiated the path of questioning known as ancient Greek philosophy. Its followers included those who practiced philosophic speculation and engaged in the development of schools of thought until the time of Socrates. When Socrates came along, he increased the scope of philosophy to address not only the first cause, but also a person's moral and ethical obligation to self-improvement for his own sake and the good of the greater community. Aristotle would go on to become the tutor of Alexander the Great, who conquered much of the known world at the time and spread the concepts of Greek philosophy from modern-day Turkey through Iraq and Iran, and as far east as the northwestern regions of India. In doing so, Alexander helped spread Greek philosophy and culture throughout the Eastern Mediterranean and Near East. This cultural diffusion laid the groundwork for later intellectual movements, including the development of Neoplatonism in Roman Egypt, as formulated by the philosopher Plotinus. Aristotle's works, which would come to influence Christianity, were also critical in formulating Islamic thought after Islam was established in the 7th century CE, as were the theological concepts of Judaism. In the present day, Greek philosophy is the underlying form of many belief systems, morals, and legal codes worldwide. Its enduring worldwide impact is undeniable. Mathematics. Greek mathematics, which studied numbers, patterns, structure, space, apparent change, and measurement, is said to have originated by Thales of Miletus. Still, its roots may go even further back. There is evidence of mathematics in Greece going as far back as the Minoan civilization nearly 4,000 years ago, and the practice of mathematics was likely based on older Mesopotamian and Egyptian mathematical systems. Thales is regarded as the first Greek mathematician. Although he is credited with introducing geometry, none of his writings have survived. However, we do have the work of one of his students, Pythagoras, who is famous for his theorem on right triangles and contributed to number theory and mathematical relationships. He incorporated mathematics with philosophy and believed that the soul, like numbers, was eternal and was reincarnated to return to Earth after death. One student of Pythagoras was Hippasus of Metapontum, who discovered irrational numbers. Another Pythagorean, which is what Pythagoras' students called themselves, developed the pyrocentric model of the universe. There was also plenty of mathematical innovation happening separately from Pythagoras. Euclid, known as the father of geometry, wrote Elements, a mathematical treatise that became the standard textbook for over 2,000 years. Archimedes, one of the best-known Greek mathematicians, was an inventor and engineer. He developed the principles of buoyancy and levers, contributing to the engineering of mechanics. His work laid the foundation for integral calculus centuries before Newton and Leibniz built upon it. These mathematicians, especially Pythagoras and his students, influenced the works of Plato and Aristotle, who used mathematics, especially geometry, to inform their philosophy. While they were not the most advanced mathematicians, they laid the foundation developed further by later work, paving the way for mathematical progress into the modern era. Science and medicine. In ancient Greece, illness was often regarded as a divine punishment. Healing was viewed as a gift from the gods. However, by the 5th century BCE, early scientists were beginning to identify the material causes for illnesses rather than spiritual ones. These discoveries led to a move away from superstition toward scientific inquiry, and Greek medical practitioners began to take a greater interest in the body. They explored the connection between cause and effect, the relation of symptoms to the illness, and the success or failure of various treatments. Their emphasis on logic and observation revolutionized the fields of science and medicine. Although the Greeks were beginning to move away from believing spirituality and religion was the root of sickness, the distinction between the spiritual and physical worlds was often blurred. For example, the god Asclepius was considered a dispenser of miraculous healing and a highly skilled practical doctor. Patients gathered at his sanctuaries, especially the one in Epidaurus, to call upon him. He allegedly gave each patient advice through dreams, which the site practitioners could then act upon. Grateful patients often left monuments at the site that provide clues as to what problems were treated there. Some examples include blindness, worms, snake bites, lameness, and more. Alongside the continued belief in the god's role in health, the Greeks discovered that lifestyle and factors like heat, cold, trauma, and nutrition could influence the symptoms of an illness. The belief that a better understanding of symptoms could help find the cure for an illness was growing in popularity, driving medical practitioners to spend time studying illnesses and their symptoms. The most famous medical practitioner from this time was Hippocrates, who is often regarded as the father of medicine. He rejected superstitions and emphasized observation and diagnosis. He is credited with creating the Hippocratic Oath, which doctors still abide by today. Although many innovations are credited to him, none of the medical treatises can be confidently attributed to him, and little is known about him. Hippocratic texts deal with various medical topics, including diagnoses, biology, treatment, and general advice for doctors. There were plenty of innovations in science outside of medical advancements. For example, Greek astronomers such as Aristarchus proposed that the Earth orbits the Sun in a heliocentric model that preceded Copernicus by nearly 2,000 years, although his model was not accepted. Eratosthenes even calculated the Earth's circumference with remarkable accuracy using simple geometry. Greek scientists emphasized logic, experimentation, and observation in medicine and science, which established today's scientific method. Art, architecture, and literature. In about 450 BCE, an Athenian general named Hercules tried to consolidate his power by using public money to support the city-state's artists and thinkers. He paid artisans to build temples and other public buildings in Athens, reasoning that he could win the people's support by providing construction jobs and building grand public monuments. He aimed to increase Athens' prestige and his own, and his plan worked, at least for Athens. His funding led to a flourishing of grand architecture and incredible artwork that would leave an impact for centuries to come. Greek art and literature have influenced countless generations. The sculptures of Phidias, Praxiteles, and Myron set the standard for artistic realism, capturing movement and emotion with unparalleled skill. Their works inspired the Renaissance and continue to be studied in art schools today. Many of the works from this time survived, preserved in museums so modern-day admirers can marvel at the skills of classic Greek artists and sculptors. Greek literature also laid the foundation for storytelling. Homer's Iliad and Odyssey are still considered some of the greatest epic poems ever written, introducing themes of heroism, fate, and human struggle that resonate across cultures and eras. Tragedians like Sophocles and Euripides explored human nature in plays still performed today, while Aristophanes wrote comedies satirizing politics, war, and societies that remain relevant today. Modern audiences can read and enjoy many of the epics, essays, and plays that survived from this era. With its signature columns and symmetry, Greek architecture has inspired structures worldwide. The Parthenon, a temple dedicated to Athena, exemplified classic Greek design, featuring the Doric and Ionic columns that continue to influence modern buildings. The temples of classical Greece all shared the same general form, with rows of columns supporting a horizontal molding and a triangular roof. Above the decorative molding, called the entablature, at the end of each roof was a triangle place called the pediment, in which sculptors carved elaborate scenes. For example, in Parthenon, the pediment sculptures showed the birth of Athena on one end and a battle between Athena and Poseidon on the other. Although the colors have faded and are no longer visible today, ancient Greek sculptures and architecture were originally painted in vivid colors. Far from the plain white marble we now see, these works were decorated with bright reds, blues, and other hues to make them appear more lifelike and dramatic. Greek architecture emphasized harmony, proportion, and functionality. From the grand theaters of Epirus to the stoas of Athens, all valued symmetry and were built to last. Neoclassical buildings, including government structures and museums, resemble Greek designs today. The enduring legacy of Greece. The achievements of ancient Greece are far more than relics of the past. They form the backbone of modern civilization. Greek ideas continue to shape our world, from governance and philosophy to science and the arts. Without Greece and the achievements made there, the way we think, create, and live would look vastly different. In everything from democracy to architecture, we can see the echoes of Greece's achievements in our everyday lives. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about Greece and its incredible contributions to humanity, check out our book, History of Greece, a captivating guide to Greek history, starting from the Bronze Age in ancient Greece through the classical and Hellenistic period to the modern era. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you found the video captivating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.